we do have to expand our transportation network and serve a growing population, growing jobs. And so that's where the infrastructure project come in. That's where we identify multimodal transportation projects, including roadways, transit, bicycle and pedestrian projects, freight and multimodal connections as well. And so that all of those projects and strategies do come up to, we have identified about $35 billion worth of transportation projects looking out to 2050. So that is including inflation, that means kind of like that cost during the year of we're expecting that it would be constructed. And this pie chart kind of breaks it up by project type. The largest component here, that's purple, makes up transit projects. And that's about $13 billion worth of transit projects. So that includes improvements to both the existing CODA system, the existing fixed route bus service, improvements to CODA Plus zones, but also, and I'll get into it on the next slide, the introduction of new mode and what we call high capacity or premium transit. So that's that next level of transit service, faster, more reliable, that you see in other large cities. And so the other big chunk of the pie, the piece of the pie, is management and operations. So we're looking at about $8.4 billion to just maintain our current transportation system through the year 2050. And then you'll see broken up major roadway widenings, about $4.5 billion, freeway projects, $2.7 billion, standalone bicycle pedestrian projects, about $1.8 billion. The one note I'll make about that, when we're identifying roadway projects, we do assume we have a complete streets policy. So any roadway improvement that would go in, we assume that there would be appropriate bicycle and pedestrian facilities included. So they might not be pulled out separately, but we are looking at them. So this map here, again, not meant to be read, but just kind of meant to show the magnitude of how many projects have been identified in the region. We do have an interactive web map on our website, so you can go, you can click, you can zoom in right into your community, pan around, click on projects, get more information about the project that's proposed. And I will get into a little bit further here. So the next page has what our draft transit corridors. And so the purple, the dark purple lines, again, very hard to see here. I talked a little bit in a few slides about Link Us, which is Link Us initiative is works is partnering with CODA and the city of Columbus to really bring comprehensive mobility to Central Ohio, including the new transportation mode of bus rapid transit. So those three dark purple lines are the corridors that have already in development. They're being designed. So that's West Broad, East Main, and then what we call the Northwest Corridor, which is Olentangy River Road, connecting up to Bethel and ultimately up to the Dublin area. And so those are in design. West Broad is the furthest along, but as part of the funding model and as part of this plan, we do think that at least 2 more corridors can be built and constructed by 2050. So that's where these 3 purple swaths, kind of big areas, come in. Those are areas that have been identified for further study. So the exact corridor, exact alignment hasn't been identified yet, but generally looking at a connection from downtown to the airport and up to probably Easton and beyond, and then a connection from downtown to the southern part of our region. Again, further study will be needed, but we think 2 of those 3 could be built by 2050. The big orange swaths are just other studies that are going on in the region. We don't think that those transit corridors are cost feasible at this, based on current funding forecasts, are feasible by 2050, but that includes the passenger rail activity. We are planning those corridors, but as far as construction goes, we don't have the money secured yet. Similarly, ODOT is working on a transit study and looking at how to serve kind of the eastern part of our region with the growth that's happening out there with the Albany business. And then you'll see these pink lines, the solid pink lines. So that's to identify corridors for transit improvements that maybe are similar to the CMAX line on Cleveland Avenue. So actually one of those lines is the CMAX line, but just knowing that there's investment in improving that service and then adding similar service kind of in between the existing bus service, but not quite that high capacity rapid transit service. And so East Broad is shown on here. So that's the transit projects. And then the next page does have kind of a zoom in of the Clinton Township area of the other modes of projects that have been proposed. I know not everyone can see it, but I think you'll notice there's a 315 looking at managed lanes. So, and I should also know a lot of these are just very conceptual in nature. Like a need has been identified, but in order for it to be kind of more defined and a project to develop, it would be, it would have to be ODOT or the township or the city or somebody saying, okay, we want to study this further and determine what's the exact project that actually needs to make sense in this location. So you'll see managed lanes, which is, if you're familiar with 670, the smart lane going in the eastbound direction and the peak hours where they open the shoulder for traffic. They're looking at, that's been both 71 and 315 have been identified through an ODOT study as potential candidates. So that's what those pink lines represent. You'll notice, I noticed you have the Linden Green line on your agenda tonight. So that's a big greenway trail that the city of Columbus is working on, going north-south there. The Cook Road, that's shown on here as as a minor widening. That's something the Franklin County Engineers Office, I believe, is already funded. So if not, construction has not started already. Let's see if there's any other anything else we want to pull out here. But really, there's if you can take a look at this, and I would just want to emphasize I'm here tonight for feedback. So if there's anything missing, we'd like to hear about it. If there's anything on here that you look at and is maybe a little concerning, you're saying, what's going on here? That's not something we're interested in. We want to hear that too. So yes, again, you can comment on the web map. You can email me directly, or mtp@morpc.org is the email address as well.
What do you know about the Cook Road widening? We just have a resident here from that road. Is it been approved? It's happening?
Yes, I believe it's funded. It does the Franklin County Engineer's Office, and a minor widening is really it's like adding a center turn lane, making safety improvements. So not adding a through travel lane, but
It's not gonna be a 4-lane.
right.
Okay.
Right. It would just be kind of adding turn lanes where appropriate and adding some safety
All right.
improvements.
Thanks.
So the transit corridors that you were delineating, what type of transit are you looking at?
For the 3 that are in development now, bus rapid transit has been identified. So bus rapid transit is, we call it almost light rail on wheels. So it's not light rail, it's not lane track, but it's a more affordable option that has been proven to have all of the benefits of rail. So it's got high frequency of 10 minutes or less. It's got off-board fare collection. So you get your ticket, you use an app to get on, so everyone just loads on. You're not waiting for somebody to pull out their $dollar bills. It has level boarding, so the bus or the vehicle doesn't have to go up or down. Everyone can, mom with a stroller, wheelchair, everybody can get right on. It also has dedicated guideway. So there's a lane and so for these corridors, the majority are being designed for dedicated guideway. At some portions, as you get further out, dedicated guideway either just doesn't make sense currently based on density and just the nature of the roadway, but ultimately the goal is to have as much dedicated guideway on these facilities as possible so they aren't caught up in mixed traffic. They get signal priority, so as the vehicle approaches an intersection, it's talking to that signal and maybe it stays green for the transit vehicle and it goes through the intersection while everyone else, the cars stop, things like that.
I have that in San Francisco.
Yes. Cleveland also has, if you've ridden the Health Line up there, Minneapolis has a pretty robust bus rapid transit system. So, you get the development impacts of, attracting that development on the corridor. But again, it's a fraction of the cost of rail.
Is there a specific reason why we didn't opt for, I guess I have like 3 questions. Number 1, they're electric, right? The trams,
Yes.
they're all electric. So that's really neat. Even I attended a seminar back in November about it. It was really fascinating. And that's why they talked about the study that they have done, and I think this is based on 4 or 5 different studies that you've done over the past 10 years to figure out which is the best specifically for Columbus. Is there a specific reason why we decided not to do a tram system, or we decided not to do some sort of a subway?
Really, it's costs. You see that $13 billion chunk of funding that we're looking at. We're largely relying on the Federal Transit Administration to fund the corridor portion of those, building those corridors. And so when we're talking about, so we have to the Federal Transit Administration we'll go in and apply for the funding, and they'll give us a rating. And that rating is based on a lot of different factors: the density of the built environment, the ridership projections. Those are the 2 big ones. And so basically they're going to determine if we went in for a rating for light rail, the rating is going to be much lower because we don't currently have the density and projected ridership to support that investment. Whereas bus rapid transit, we score much higher, so we can rely on a higher share of federal support. And so that's a big component. I think the great thing about bus rapid transit is you're building a lot of the infrastructure, and you can reap the benefits. And then as the corridor develops and the development around it kind of is built up, it can be you could always go back in and kind of build in the a rail or another more permanent infrastructure to use a different kind of vehicle if being successful in that was the route that we wanted to go.
My follow-up question to that was the road that you're the one that's going to be going up through Old Hinge River Road and then turning over and then going to Dublin. That one is also electric. Is it supposed to be like what they have in Seattle, where there's a chain, like it's where the bus is connected to like a wire and that's how it gets charged? Or how is that gonna work?
I'm probably not the best one to answer that question. I know that the stations will have charging ability, like when they stop at the station, or the kind of endpoints, there's charging. I know there's technology out there that even driving on you got pavement conditions where you build into the pavement that you're charging as you're driving along. I can't speak to exactly what that technology is, but I would love to, if you're interested. I do have a slide in here that we can have I can get the right people in here, our partners with CODA and the city, to actually go really in depth on LinkS and cover the topics that I'm not as versed to talk about.
Well, the main reason I care is because I know we had talked about having 2 stops. We wanted one over by the Lenox movie theater. We wanted to stop there. And I know a portion of that, one of the things that they said on LinkS is that's also gonna have bicycle capacity so that you can leave your bicycle there. So for those people who are gonna take the bus, come in for Ohio State, leave their bikes there, and then go to school and then take their bikes and then go home. That's going to be a pretty huge deal. And then we had also asked for a stop in front of the Morehouse, because that's a pretty major, hospital for us. And so we were kind of wanting for those 2. Plus, it's kind of in the middle of, it's right before Lane Avenue. So I didn't know where we were with that. And another for Cleveland Avenue, I know that they're having a big discussion about completely revamping Cleveland Avenue as a whole. And then we had some design features that we wanted to be apportioned just to be able to express that we're a part of Cleveland or a part of Clinton Township. So we're gonna have some signs that were put in. I didn't know how that was gonna be transformed, if we were gonna have a stop that was gonna be over at the Northern Lights. So we were gonna have a Northern Lights stop, if that was gonna be able to, if we could put a sign that says, "Welcome to Clinton Township" or something of the sort. Just to be able to state like, hey, by the way, yes, you're at Ohio State, but you're also in Clinton Township, just to let you know.
Yeah, so those are great questions. I know for the Northwest Corridor, the design is not as far along, so I think they're still currently in 10% design. So we'll definitely make sure, like when the station design is happening, you're included in this conversation, so we'll make sure that happens. The other thing you might be interested in is there's a equitable transit-oriented development component of LINCA. So there's a whole team leading, putting together an action plan of basically, how do we make sure that around these stops, these main stops, that as development, as these transit infrastructure attracts development and investment, that the current community is preserved and we're not displacing anybody, in current community assets and cultural icons and amenities are kept intact. And so how can we add to rather than move, displace? So I will definitely be in touch with you to make sure you get all that information. And there's a lot of pieces and parts with LINCA, and a lot of meetings are happening, so we'll get you plugged in on those discussions for sure.
Thank you.
13 billion that you mentioned, is that money that is committed from the federal government, or are we like dependent on changes of administration?
We are, if not necessarily, not all of it is committed, no, not 13 billion. So the 13 billion includes assumptions that we will get federal discretionary grants. So working with the FTA, throughout between now and 2050. So we're kind of working right now on West Broad and working with them on that specific corridor and getting and entering into their grant process. And then there'll be similar processes based on each corridor. So it's not committed. It's definitely, it's just indicating that that's kind of where we're looking for that funding. The other portion is with LinkUs, the funding model does include a 0.5% increase in CODA's sales tax that they're collecting now. So right now they're collecting 0.5%. They're planning, talking about this November, going to the ballot to ask for an additional 0.5%. And that would put funding for our region at similar levels as Cleveland. Cleveland's at, I believe, 1%. Their regional transit authority is collecting 1%. Cincinnati, I think, is at 0.8%. And so really, that's the level of local funding that is needed. And it's, we've looked at other peer regions that in order to make this kind of investments in this type of transit infrastructure, that's the level that we need to be. We kind of need to get to that level. So there is a 0.5% that's on the ballot. So that's included, kind of enrolled into that $13 billion as well. And I also want to, kind of going back to your point about bike infrastructure, it's of that 0.5%, 20, there's an agreement, an MOU in place among WARPC and CODA that 27.5% of that increase will be dedicated to what we call transit supportive infrastructure. So that's your sidewalks, bike lanes, and that's throughout the entire county, or I should say the entire county. Within, WARPC is working with CODA to design kind of the program and how that, and manage that program, but the definition that's been identified is basically within 3 miles of a fixed route transit stop. So that's including a bus rapid transit corridor as well as the entire fixed route system. So the bus routes you see in place today. So that really makes the majority of the county eligible for this funding source. And so we've set up a whole committee, which I know we've got a township association has representation on. We'd love to have you participate as well. We are encouraging we want to have direct representation from every jurisdiction in the county. And so, but really to identify how that transit support infrastructure, how that piece will be programmed and building that program of projects. So there'll be more to come on that, but yes, so that is a key piece of that 13 million is that increase.
I guess part of that too is, are there U.S. senators and congressmen from the area that are are bidding in Washington with the transportation department?
So our role is really, we're working with staff at the FTA. I think that we do have staff, both MORPC and CODA. We have what we call our government affairs team that works with our elected officials. And so we know that goes on. There's got to be some of that
Will there be a
political.
lobby?
Right.
For this? Okay.
Right. So you know, I can't say, no, sure, there's all these criteria, these technical data criteria that we're supposed to meet to, you know, get considered, but when it comes at the end of the day, you know, there's only so much money you get
Right.
up in the process, and I think eventually, yes, there's some political pressure that we do rely on our elected officials for.
The West Broad one that's got the most development, at least on paper at the moment. What's the terminus? Where is it going to? What's out there?
It's going out to Norton Road, so it's going past the casino, basically almost to the county line. So
Is there, because I don't go on the west side much, is there a big employment thing out there? I mean, like, I'm thinking Groveport, where we've got all kinds of people who have to go from our area all the way down to get to Groveport to all those warehouse jobs. It's pretty challenging.
So the reason West Broadway is identified as to move first is that's currently the highest ridership, the highest existing CODA line, their highest ridership. It serves, the number, I don't have it memorized, but a large percentage of people who live on that corridor are at or below poverty level. So it's serving a population that is in need of better transit service and more transportation options. So yeah, I think it was that ridership. It was really the existing ridership. It demonstrated the existing need of people who live there. The Rickenbacker area is definitely one that's being proposed, overlooking to the south. CODA is building a mobility center down there, so looking at connecting to that, because yes, absolutely, there's a need very much down in that.
Okay, real quick background. I used to work for Amtrak,
Oh,
so I have a little bias towards trains, but
More
it's not
trains.
just,
More trains.
more trains, yeah, definitely more trains. But one of the things I learned when I worked for them was that people will ride a train to go to nowhere. They will literally ride a train. They'll go from downtown Los Angeles, take a bus out to Pasadena, get on a bus off at Pasadena train station, and take the train back into Union Station, basically going from nowhere to nowhere. But they love riding trains. To get people out of their cars, you can't give them a bus. You want to get those people in Upper Arlington and Dublin out of their cars, you have to give them something that doesn't smell like diesel. Electric's good. And it doesn't have to stop for the traffic, which it sounds like that's kind of the plan.
yes.
I still don't know how desirable that's gonna be for someone who likes to drive downtown in their Mercedes-Benz, but
Yeah, and I think we recognize this is gonna be built, everyone's not gonna get out of their car, leave their car, so it's gonna be, you know, we need to provide the options, and as our region grows, and, you know, we have a lot, we're going to be aging and getting younger as a region, so the demand, again, and people are moving to our region, so hoping we can thrive as well.
To answer your question, sorry, ma'am, I'm sorry. To answer your
I'm sorry.
question, it's connecting, do you know the old farm that used to be on Sawmill and 161 has turned into a huge apartment complex?
Yeah.
And then there's the boardwalk that's crossing over into Dublin.
you talking about Ridge Park?
Yeah,
Okay,
a lot of those people don't have cars. So a lot of the purpose of this, it's my understanding, is that they wanted to be able to help people from that area so that they can be comfortably live there. And then also have some sort of a way to get downtown to go to work for
Okay.
their job. So that was another reason.
where
for the
nobody's
Northwest
working
Corridor.
Yeah.
You retired people.
No, I mean, all the work from home, all the state
Oh,
employees
yes,
I know that are working from home, who
Right.
could never work from home.
And all these
Oh my
maps, you
God.
said, you can provide that links so that interactively,
Yes,
that maybe we can just put it like on our website that people.
absolutely love that, yes. Thank you. So just to wrap up here, yeah, so we talked about Link Us, just as so we're going out again, like I said, we have 54 presentations scheduled, so I moved on to this what's next, I skipped kind of our process part. We're meeting, we want to just make everybody aware that this is available for comments. The public comment period is open through March, so through March 29th is that Friday. We are having an open house at Morpsey we're in the Brewery District, March 19th, 3:30 to 6:30. I realize that is election day, but maybe you can roll, when you're doing your civic duty, you can roll like a transportation comment
Does a
period.
bus run from here to there?
Not
We can
yet.
take a bus in.
Not yet.
I was gonna say, I'm not the expert on the existing bus routes, but we do have a bus stop close by, so you might have to do a transit. And yes, we are looking to incorporate the feedback and adopt the plan, or have our board adopt the plan by May of 2024. My team and I, our contact information is on the last slide with all of our email addresses. And thank you again so much for your time and your interest, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, yeah, thank you.
Exciting.
And that was very informative. I really do appreciate it. So thank you for spending the time to come out and see all those little folks over here in the township. Shall we move on to the fiscal officer?
Sure, I'm gonna pass this down. Read the January fiscal report. January 1st, the township had an overall fund balance of $9,509,003.22. Expenditures last month were $510,549.99, leaving us with an overall fund balance of $9,653,634.70. So seeking approval of the January fiscal report.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Desberger? What?
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
The next motion is just tidy keeping. A project was wrapped up last year, but there's a little bit of money left over in it. So to get that money back into the general fund, request a motion to remove the remaining $7,282.09 back to the general fund, number 1,000, from the Walford and Ormond Ave Improvement Fund, number 2905.
So moved.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
Trustee Graham?
Yes, and that's pretty impressive that we were that on track. Only having an overage of $7,282.
And Trustee Clark?
Yes.
I don't know the details of how those things are figured out, so thank you for the compliment, but I don't think I did anything to make it happen. And the last one, the administrator already has.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Shall we move to the committee and team boards?
I will let Chief Rayleigh handle that.
Last produce market, we received 11,000 pounds of produce and we distributed that to a record number of 549 individuals.
Oh.
Our last two markets, numbers keep going up, so I think this summer is going to be fairly busy. Next markets are March 8th and 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m. If anybody would like to help out, volunteers typically show up at 3 p.m.
I'm sorry, it was March 8th and
22nd.
22nd.
Can I ask a question about that? How is it advertised, I guess, as far as getting volunteers for that project? Because I didn't hear about it until I started coming to this meeting.
Not well.
Yeah, because I'm thinking there's got to be more people in the community. Because I know I talked to a lot of people from Bessa that were volunteering, but the only two people from the township, other than Clark, was myself and her name was Kathy.
Mhm.
And so, you look around and you're thinking, where are the folks from our Clinton Township?
We have put it out in newsletters in the past. And I know when we advertise the markets online, we advertise the volunteer opportunity. I know we've done it on the fire department Facebook page, so it is there. We hope to grow that, but maybe putting in more and more newsletters and meetings.
It's on that sign out in front too, don't you put it on
Yeah,
there?
you say marquee, don't you?
I don't know if we put the
I don't say
volunteer
volunteer.
opportunity, I know we
It
put
doesn't
the
say anything about
market.
volunteer.
time.
I thought I
Even
seen
so, I
it on
can't
there.
read it if I'm wrong. Because it's something you changing. I used to try to see them.
Thank you. Are you, is that everything, Chief Riley?
It is.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, March 15th, family movie night here at this location. Doors open at 6, movie starts at 7. We're gonna be viewing the movie Inside Out.
When is that again, please?
March 15th,
Is it gonna be in here?
it'll be inside.
Have you already picked out the movie?
Inside Out.
Oh, okay.
We had the same movie on the east side a few months ago. Really
Okay.
well attended.
Now, did you have any snacks or anything like that?
So we'll have popcorn, hot dogs, bottled water, some chips,
Okay.
those types of things. We advertise to, what's that?
I'm sorry, what time is it?
Doors open at 6, movie will start at 7. We advertise to bring blankets and chairs, but my hope is we will have some floor mats also available by then.
Okay.
Do you get a good turnout?
The one we had on the east side, we had about 80 people,
Oh, that's great.
so that was a really good turnout.
Oh, mass email and all that stuff, and see if I can get people here.
I went, it was really nice.
Did we ever decide about, I don't want to interrupt, did we ever decide about doing a marquee over here? Like a sign, like you have on
Yeah.
the east side?
That was a no.
A small survey was done with the residents behind us, and like the majority said they were worried about light pollution, from what I remember.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
tried.
probably east side at nighttime is very bright to traffic.
So for now, I guess it's the cardboard.
It slows down the chain.
Well, Chief, you know, those
We
actually
tried.
can be turned down, but nobody ever does.
Less
So one at the
lumens.
church across the street from me, we found out you can turn,
Yeah, the lights down.
I'll use the word volume, you can turn the lights down, but even at 2 a.m, the minister over there doesn't want it down.
Lumens is the technical word.
Yes, you can decrease the lumen.
Excellent.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, we can move on to the administration.
Okay, first thing, request a motion to sign a letter supporting the Columbus Linden Green Line grant application.
So moved.
Is this, what city agency is doing this? Is it a city agency?
It might be.
It might be, you might have to abstain.
Is that the thing to do with
Can't go loose and down.
Do we have a second from the left?
Second.
Excellent. Okay. Trustee Jesberger,
Abstaining.
trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Clark.
Is there any other discussion before I?
I'm sorry, I did the roll call too soon. Go ahead and discuss it.
Do you have any more questions about it?
No.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Next, request a resolution to adopt the solid waste management plan for the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Jesberger,
Yes.
trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Clark.
Yes.
Can I ask what the plan is?
They have, they
Just a
have to
brief-
update their plan every so many years. I think it's,
Three.
might be within every 4 or 5 years. They just update their plan. I have a little flyer here about it.
You can have
Just
a
talk
flyer.
about your food waste, organic, your business recycling, hard to cycle items and things of that nature.
In that vein, since you're talking about waste, are there any food waste? What's the word I'm looking for?
Receptacles?
Compost.
Yes, recycle, yes, to compost, because I mean, I compost at my house, but mean, it could, if we're growing community gardens anywhere within the township, could be beneficial.
Yeah, they got down here, food is the largest single component of waste in the landfill. We're purchasing a plot compositing facility for food scraps as well, as ways to help communities and business collect and divert food from waste. I know is it Joyce Avenue, they got a new facility there that they're getting up and running.
Maybe, I mean, I remember hearing years ago, one of the reasons the community health action teams help get out the food is to have less food end up in the landfills. I know it sounds like common sense on the other side, but efforts 5 years ago to reduce the landfill waste led to Chad's helping give out food. But as of yet, there is no township ran compost bin. We exchanged some emails and there's some folks on Cook Road who will show us their magic, your neighbor. But the township as a whole yet isn't done that. And he's just saying that at the county level, they do have some efforts, but not we can't give you an address to go dump your
Okay,
Albacore
'cause that's what I wanted to know. That
Yeah.
was gonna be my next question. Is there some way to get that information in a newsletter, even if it isn't the county, as opposed to the township?
I do have a friend that has a local composting place that she takes her food. I can ask her.
If you like this update, send me an email
Okay,
and I'll forward this to you.
okay.
And I think,
There's a pickup service in Clintonville.
yeah, there are private companies, and I think even Bexley has done this at the municipal level, but that's the only municipal level I know of in Franklin County that does it. And Bexley has like a whole sustainability department.
I think Ohio State actually does.
How state does too,
Yeah.
All the community gardens.
Dave, is there a link to that we could,
That's
like,
what
put
I
a
was-
link in the minutes that,
Probably.
or something on the,
If we can't find, if they don't have it published somewhere online, Deborah can help me turn something into a PDF to put it as a hyperlink in the meeting minutes.
yep.
They may have it posted somewhere else though.
I'm not seeing a link on what they give me on the flyer.
I think the more we can put links.
We'll find it and
into
we'll
the-
put it
on
there.
the webpage
Yes.
to,
We'll find it, we'll put it there, or we'll
Thanks.
make it.
okay.
Thank you. Any more questions? We already did number 3, so let's go ahead and move to number 4.
Okay, this is a request of motion to amend the permit fee schedule for commencing of work without a permit from 4 times the amount to double the amount. This was brought up the last meeting with Saraga. So then if that passes, the board further directs the fiscal officer to issue a refund check in the amount of $4,322 to Saraga to reflect the new rate. This is something I did reach out to our attorneys about, and they said, yes, we can do that. And with this motion, that will direct the FO to do the refund if this passes.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just for those who were at the last meeting, if you remember, the lawyer stood up and we had a conversation about the fact that we were 4 times so higher, which is a lot higher than the average group, so we were just lowering that.
And there was an acknowledgement that North Lincoln's a food desert, so. We'll move on. Trustee Jessberger.
Yes.
Trustee Graham.
Yes.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
The next I have a motion to approve the new service rates for Civic Plus and authorize the township administrator to sign the contract. I have the contract here. It was going to go up to from $2,200 to $2,800. But with talking with Deborah and myself, and we had a meeting with them, and with some of the issues that she's experienced since she's been here, they actually dropped the rate down for this year to $22.89. So it's only went up $89.
What is Civic Plus?
Civic Plus is who we have our website through. And we started with them in 2019 at the cost of $2,000 a year. Just give a little bit of background.
So moved.
Second.
So, Deborah, on this, for the 2289, they like evaluate the website once a year, how does that work? Do they work with you to evaluate it? What changes we need to make or want to make?
No. No, there's Civic Plus, has a lot of different departments, and over the past year and a half, I've been speaking to a representative that was assigned to our account. In short, we were supposed to get specific upgrades and migrations that was to occur. And I sent the individual who sent us the quote for the renewal all of my history of communications and emails. And based upon all of those efforts, he had decided to not increase it for the full amount that he originally wanted to, and decided at that time it would be more fair with respect to all of the time, energy, and effort that we've had to try to get the enhancements and upgrades that were supposed to be established since October of 22.
So they have not been very responsive, is that what you're saying?
Their technical team's very responsive with anything that I reach out to them on. The piece with respect to them upgrading the website and all of the features and enhancements that were supposed to be an automatic upgrade with the next level of the Drupal, in terms of, like, if you think of Microsoft Office, every other year, or like your phone,
Right,
every
right.
other year, it's a new upgrade. So we literally went from 7 to 10 now, just in that year and a half. So we've gone up several levels that we haven't experienced any upgrades or any migrations. And I've shared that information numerous times with Matt, and also mentioned it in some of the reports that I've submitted with the leadership team, to let them constantly know that this is still an issue. This is what I'm working on, and periodically send the emails with the updates with respect to the current status.
So
And
this contract goes through the end of 24?
actually, I hadn't even looked at the contract. Dave has the contract. That's his wheelhouse.
And it actually it commences on 3/12 of this year is when it starts the new contract. So it'll be a year from the 12th next month.
So, being all new to all this, if we, I guess I'm asking you too, if we ever put this out for bid to see if there's other
Not that I'm aware of.
companies that
When we were looking at
might be
other,
more competitive or light a fire under these people if they know we're going out for bid?
when we were looking at specific upgrades and inquiring about other things that we wanted to do with our website at that time, over a year ago, we got a quote from Civic Plus to basically take us to the next platform higher up. And it has a lot of features that we wouldn't even use as a smaller township. So it wasn't worth, I think it was like $25,000
Oh,
for
that's
us, yeah, for us to move to that next tier, if you will. So having discovered that we were going to be included in this migration that included certain enhancements, at that point, I started bird dogging that piece. So we didn't have to pay an exorbitant amount of money, but only the normal inflationary rate or the normal increase rate that was specifically outlined in our initial contract when we signed up back in 2018. It talked
So
about,
we've been working with this company since 2018.
I believe so, yeah.
Or 19, I think.
Okay, 19,
That's when I see 19.
okay.
So I guess my question is, are there other, obviously there are, have we investigated other companies that?
We have
provide
not,
the
and we
service?
have not. I haven't gotten any real response or feedback pursuant to the information and research that I've done over the past year and a half and shared. So there hasn't been any real interest to look in other directions. I haven't specifically got any directive to do that type of activity. So if that was something that we were interested in doing at that time, over a year ago, was the time to start having those, with all due respect, conversations. It's way too late to try to,
Right, for this year,
Yeah,
obviously. Well,
yeah.
I asked that because the
I'm gonna
last
interrupt
meeting,
real quick. I think our previous administrator did look into some other companies, and we did decide that this was the most, do you remember that?
Well, I know there is one company who reaches out, has been reaching out to me. But that's just our service contract for a year. That's
Right.
not producing it, putting it all together. Back in 2019, it cost us $7,000 to get this up and running.
Okay.
So if we would change, it
Right,
have
that'd be
some cost to.
and I'm asking that question because the last meeting I requested, like, in doing a community survey or questionnaire, and one of the things now would be, how many people use our website? What else would they want to see on the website? Not necessarily to change, but just like, what else, the kind of services could we put on there that maybe the community would want to see to make it
More interactive.
more interesting
Okay.
and more useful to our residents, is what I'm telling
I think in the future, we may be able to get that analytics with the new system that they're upgrading.
you. Yeah,
We
because
may be able to get that.
my mission of the whole thing is trying to make it life easier for the residents, and if we can provide more information on the website, it's easier for them to search and not 14 clicks to get some information. But
Well, being that said, Deborah and I have talked about doing a webpage 101 sometime at one of these meetings.
Okay.
We can bring the webpage up on the big screen when we're, over on the east
Yeah,
side and go through it and find out questions, this is the easy way to do it.
Okay.
Instead of doing the 14 clicks, it's there. There's some easy ways of doing things. You can hit the
Okay.
search button, put in whatever you want, and then go to it, so.
I think that's can be useful.
Sometimes there's temporary working groups for these kinds of things, so it sounds like this is the best deal for us to do now, and there's interest to just considering our options a year from now.
I didn't know if I missed what the previous service rate was and what the new service rate is.
The last year's service rate was like 2,205 cents or something like that.
So it's going up $89, is what you said, right?
Which is a deal.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have to start with something else to boost you another.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. yeah.
Boost you up.
And Trustee just corrected me, it was the other IT services that we used that we investigated last year, not this one.
IT made real.
Yes.
All right, so we're ready for the roll call. Trustee Jessberger,
Yes.
trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Clark.
Yes.
Next on the item is newsletter contest submissions are due by this Friday for the newsletter. You guys want to have anything put in there? I'm going to say content, I say content, sorry, I was thinking something. Content. Then the next thing we have is under flexibility for the eclipse coming up. Do we want to do anything to reach out to the public for a contest or anything for the children to color a scene or anything like that? Do we want to?
I've created a coloring contest in short, if I may, just kind of elaborate on that. I shared it with Dave before I went on my family leave. I didn't get to communicate it, just due to circumstances, but it's simply just a coloring contest. We could push it out, for the children. We have certain age groups, 3 age groups, and it's just a basic, a lot of different townships are doing a variety of different activities. This was just something that we could pass out at one of our produce markets, perhaps. They could download it from our website or click on a link from social media. And the prize, I was hoping to have a science kit from COSI. COSI does have, and I already requested any donations we could get from COSI, although nothing's guaranteed, including solar glasses. But they have specific solar kits. They are $30 if we were to purchase some, which we would probably purchase 3. And that would be the price, which would be appropriate for each one of the 3 age groups as well. So it's just something, again, just a little fun activity. Nothing real, complex. I know we're not directly in the path of the eclipse, but, everybody's doing it. And I thought, why not us too? All the cool kids are doing it.
We're in the path of the eclipse, you just aren't in the path of the absolute total.
Correct.
Totality.
Right.
I was saying the word
You will
totality.
see the eclipse unless you're asleep.
So, a lot of townships are doing a lot of different things.
So are you
So-
thinking a deadline before?
We do. I
before the
made,
eclipse?
I made up a fake deadline. I used just randomly to have them have it colored and turned into us. I think I used March 18th, and then we would decide the winner the following week, and then they would get their kits in time for the big event.
And we would recognize them at the board meeting.
Correct. We would, announce the winner, and then, invite them to the, board meeting, take their picture.
And I know
Um,
there's an issue about the board paying for a prize and stuff, but I think we can take care of that internally. That there would be no cost to
You mean private donations and not board expenditure approval?
Correct.
unless there's some other, prizes out there that I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
I think you're working on solar glasses also, Chief?
Still waiting on word from county, public health regarding the distribution of free glasses. So hopefully that word will be coming out pretty soon.
Now, I did create, in case you weren't aware, a solar, news article that's on our homepage. So if you haven't checked it out yet, don't get left behind.
Did you get the stuff from what I sent out? 'Cause
Pardon?
You were gone, did you
Yeah.
get what I sent out from
That's
ODOT?
good, that's good information you sent out.
I didn't get any information. What information?
It shows the path and some of the highlights of the different areas around the state.
Traffic density that
Yeah.
affected.
Oh, I wanna see
Because of the traffic issues. people
From
walk
EMA?
around.
Is it from EMA?
No, ODOT.
Specific?
ODOT.
Oh,
ODOT.
ODOT, okay. I
I'll
didn't
send
catch.
it to you because you
Yeah.
were over here last week, so it's kind of.
I have I'll add it to the resources. That'll be fun.
They'll fund
Yeah.
the slippery.
So I'm continuously adding to that page, fun facts and, all the different, state parks and stuff like that.
So at this time, I would request a motion to move forward with this with no cost to the township for the prize. That would be-
Motion to do a contest?
At no cost.
We've had discussion, I don't know if we need a motion, but
Okay.
You
Still
can-
doesn't
We can put it on the website and stuff like that. We would have more support.
I don't think that.
I think it sounds
I
adorable.
think you can handle it internally without.
Okay.
if no money's being spent, I don't know if we need a motion. I
Okay.
think the board's supportive of
I think it sounds
doing a
adorable.
contest.
enough.
private
Can we
donation.
put the pictures up in the hallway?
Sure,
Absolutely.
And then that way, like, people can go visit it and see it.
absolutely.
Scan them onto the webpage.
And,
Is
last
that a
thing I got is the Jedzine board meeting tomorrow at 3820 Cleveland Avenue at 9:30 a.m.
That's been posted. It's on social media as well as our website.
Did you repeat that? Sorry.
The Jedzine board meeting will be tomorrow morning at 9:30 at 3820 Cleveland Avenue. That'd be the first one for the year.
It was postponed from last month. I know it was postponed.
But we're getting in February.
Yes.
With our brand new member. Super excited about that.
I'm using it.
Now, I know that both of you said that you have no new business, but since we usually do flexibility, do you guys have anything to add?
I do not.
Just a couple of things. For those of you that weren't here during our levy meetings, I did bring some of the flyers that we put out, if anybody needs one of those. I know Bobby said a couple of people on the west side were interested but couldn't attend, so I've got some of those community sprayers for these folks that were involved in that. The gentleman that was kind of the center of the altercation has a lot of mental illness issues. So again, our folks, involved in something I hope we don't ever have to deal with, but these things are hitting close to home more and more often around us. Following that incident, I kind of checked in on some things around the nation, and we had 5 police officers killed last weekend across this country. That's not making the news. So again, just putting that out there for our folks.
How is the Midland officer?
He was released yesterday, I believe.
Well, they never mentioned in any of the news things I saw, Clinton wasn't even mentioned that an officer was involved.
They showed it on, I think it was on Channel 10, they showed.
Yeah, he was,
There's
our
an
officer
article
was
on
the
Channel
first
10.
officer on the scene.
There was an article, like if you search for it from Channel 10 where
Channel
Clinton
10
Township is
about-
Which of our officers was involved?
I'm not going
Oh,
to say.
you're not gonna- okay.
As we go on another meeting, we will be putting an award together from him, kind of in conjunction with the Mifflin Township
Okay.
folks. And we'll talk more about it. I just wanted to let everybody know he is coming back to work and should be better Thursday.
Good.
That's all I have.
that Dave.
I have under Public Works, discuss the crew leader position and the need to fill the open labor's position before spring. So we'll have some discussion about this. No one's really applying for the crew leader position. My thoughts is at this point, do we do an internal promotion to like an interim crew leader position for Cody Lester? And they go ahead and pull that advertisement off their website and advertise for a crew leader, or not a labor position. That way we can have somebody maybe in place before we get into the chipping the brush and leaf collection and mowing and all that stuff.
That's something he's interested in doing?
Yes, he is.
Not my decision, but why would he be interim? Wouldn't it be sort of permanent?
If we take him permanent, he'd go, by our handbook, he would go up to the pay rate. There's still some things I want him to get. I want him to get his ODA, pesticide applicator's license. I'd like to get him involved in some of the stormwater training and things like that, and kind of working to that point.
Okay.
And maybe towards the end of the year.
Interim with incentives to move, to
Correct.
get certifications.
Correct. He has taken on some of the role. He's doing the daily log and doing the monthly reports, kind of delegating work to do during the day. We did give him a little pay raise for that. So, the next step is he needs to get his commercial applicator's license for next pay. So, and I talked with our attorneys too, and they said that's the way to do it, interim.
And right, Gates is seriousness if he gets a training too.
And like I said, I'm not gonna put a time frame on it. If he does this stuff in 6 months, if he stretches out to a year, he stretches out to a year. The ball's in his court.
Okay.
If we choose to go that way.
So what would be what would you see as the pay rate for the interim crew leader?
There will be no increase at the moment until he steps up to the license.
Okay, so like no increase until he passes his test.
Correct.
Then you talk about advertising for a crew person.
A laborer's position. We can get people start there, not much experience.
And you have, is the money in the budget already
Yes.
for that position?
Yes. Yeah, we've been down, almost 2 people, really,
Okay.
for a while now.
What's the pay scale for?
Entry?
For crew,
Yeah.
crew leader, it starts off 25 to 29, depending on your experience. So I said we've had a few bites on it, but that's it.
I'm gonna ask you before you.
So the crew leader pays
But
25,
then the labor position starts out at 18.
there we are, okay, all right.
That's full-time?
Yes.
You can't have two jobs. You can only be a trustee.
No.
I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
He's a self-starter, he's been interested in this from the beginning. And I think that, my opinion would be that we give him this opportunity, and encourage him applications along the way. Did he receive his studies material?
Yes, him and Omar both have received their study material. They've been studying. Trying to talk him into just go ahead and schedule the test. If you failed the first time, you failed the first time. At least you have some knowledge of it. I think it's going to be a total of 150 questions between the two categories.
Is
So
there a cost for that test?
the cost is the material stuff that's already been,
Okay.
Is this the sprayer's license?
yeah, commercial applicator license. And like I said, he's been taking on we haven't had a lot of snow, but he's been working with me and stuff on the snow removal.
It's good.
Yes.
I agree, I think it's a good opportunity.
My question is, if I heard you correctly, is that there's no time frame that this person has to complete those things to have that job. I have a hard time with that because you have to have a goal. You know what I mean? You have to have a goal set.
Well,
Um,
and to answer that, I think a part of it is he doesn't actually get a pay increase until he completes it. So,
I mean, I get that, but you want that position filled though, don't you?
Yes,
Yes. So
so he's training to that position for the last,
Yeah, you can also take his, commercial spraying license with him, he does lead too.
pardon?
Most of the time, if you do take your spraying license, you can take that with you after you leave too.
Correct, yeah. The
Yeah,
township
so he's
don't know
gonna
that,
have-
the individuals don't know that.
Yeah, it's gonna help him, if he does decide to go on his own or something like that.
was it last year that we worked with, or was it 2 years ago that we worked on the pay bands?
Yeah, step criteria.
So we have step criteria in general. That is something that we designed so that there's a specific pay band based on when you complete different qualifications. It'll automatically move you into the next pay line up. So all of these things are generally a part of that pay band piece, so that you get step ups if you complete them. If you don't get the step ups, then you don't get that increase into the next pay band level. So like, that's just kind of how we designed it. I can understand your want for that, but he can't officially get the full superintendent role unless he completes those, but we still need a crew leader. We need somebody that just is in general in charge of everybody.
It's like,
I-
it's like climbing
I hear you
onto a
kind of
porch.
saying that you'd like to light a fire on it
Yes.
and
I
give
mean,
them a
if you say
deadline.
you can take as much time as you want, you may not have an official crew leader for 3 years if it takes you that long.
This individual, I don't see that happening.
No, there's,
You know, if he can increase by, I don't know what he's paying, $2-3 an hour, he's gonna work harder, especially if he knows it's there.
and he knows it's gonna help him or something down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly. It'll make him decide if he wants to go into landscaping or something like that.
What I really appreciate about this employee is he helped us find another employee. So he's
He's
a
vested.
nearby.
He's vested.
He's also Springbonko, so he's already
And he's already got.
a leader in the human realm. So as he gets those qualifications, the certifications done, it's built in that even the two folks under him, if they get certified, they can go up $1 or something. But he's been a really good asset for us, which I know nobody's doubting. I just wanted to lift up, he even brought us 2 more
How
good
many,
folks.
Dave, how many have in the crew now? How many crew members you have now?
Great.
We only have 3 in the public works.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I'm still filling in as the
You had 5
superintendent.
in that, right? You know?
Yeah, we had a superintendent,
Right.
crew leader, and 3 guys.
Okay, so you got
5-man crew, so
You're
we've
down
been
to 2, we
working.
didn't know that.
And I will say our 3-man crew is getting it
Keeping up.
done.
Just keep it up.
Well, I would never know that you had 3 going through the snow removal.
Yes, and that's,
Pretty good job. even though we didn't get that snow.
You don't melt it by tomorrow.
But
Hey, it was a
still,
good
I
test
mean,
of the
this-
system, and they kept up, even though there's only
They know what the old crew took to make a route and what the new crew's making a route in the time frame.
Money,
It's impressive.
if I could plow grass, we'd be making money. It's true.
Okay, but then we need to put this in form of motion.
It's just the grass ain't nothing else.
I make a motion to appoint Cody Lester as the interim crew leader for the Public Works Department. Also remove the current ad we have for the crew leader position. Then advertise for a labor position in the Public Works Department.
So move.
Remember, ladies.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee.
Do we have any appreciation?
I would like to thank Carol Stewart for continuously donating items to our free food shack out in front of the station. I've seen you out there several times now, and it's greatly appreciated.
Kevin and I try to go once a month.
Oh, and build that thing out in front?
A shack, yeah. We have bags in the kitchen. Paper bags with the handles. And
Oh,
when we go to grocery, we'll pick up a few things, put them in the shack bags, and they're wonderful.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna thank Representative Mohammed, who is the state rep over on the other side of the township. He came to meet with us last week, and it was good that he made himself available. We didn't have that meeting, but he was ready, so maybe we'll follow up later.
I would like to thank Deborah for everything that she does. She's been out the last couple weeks. And I think we have felt you not being present. And like I said in the last newsletter, and the article that I wrote is, you know, the women in the front office are kind of who are the glue that keep us together. So we're very glad you're back
Thank you.
and thankful for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Awesome. I guess, I want to thank everyone again for being here. It's so nice to have smiling faces in the audience that participate. So we thank you for coming to us.
No complaints.
Yes, Bobby?
I have one thing that's a very minor thing that I'm gonna bring up. Is this place gonna be used as a firehouse ever again? Okay, I don't think so. So I was wondering, can we take those 2 fire truck signs down that are out there that indicate that they can, that this is a firehouse and somebody can get help here?
Those have actually been out there when we were closed.
I don't know if those were put up by us or the county or who's, this is a county road?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, maybe they
That's
should.
what we'd have to check with.
If we're not gonna use it as a firehouse, I really think they should come down because it's misleading to people if they think they can get help here and they really can't.
Or somebody leaves a baby bow on the door.
Is the park still
Well,
open?
it can happen, right?
That
It
sounds
can happen.
awful.
Is there any way that we can open up? Little pharmacy, any way we can open it up for our old self like we had before?
So that's been a discussion. We've talked about more community activities going on here, and the fact that the only area of the building that is going to maintain security is the second floor. So from my understanding, the board's been discussing that for a period of time and working with the attorneys to get all of that okayed to happen.
The biggest thing probably is when they have that movie nights, you know,
When I was at the Ohio Township Association Winter Conference, Dave introduced me to, or I participated in a liability insurance presentation, and I got to meet Kim. She's the person that helps us with maintaining our liability insurance through the township. And I haven't had a chance to, but I plan on having a meeting with her to kind of discuss She was the one that pointed out to us, I think it was like 5 years ago, right before the pandemic,
Way longer ago.
or like longer ago than that we just need to have some sort of like an agreement from liability purposes if we're gonna be able to allow people to use the building. So we have a couple of different options for waivers to sign on that, so I just need to review those waivers with her. Once I do review those waivers with her, I wanna bring it back to the board and have a general discussion about, okay, so we've talked about rental use, we've talked about entities who are allowed to use the space. What are those, do we need to have two separate contracts? Can we use the same contract for both? And what that general discussion looks like. But once we get that past the board, then we'd be able to open it up.
Yeah, 'cause I just figured it might be pretty good to have civic association against
How
Bobby
does-
the president.
How does this space differ from allowing people to use?
They
The
can't use
room.
either technically right now.
So how does the county come in and do their clinics once a month over on Cleveland
So
if there's no agreement in place?
it's a partnering agency.
They're not the general
That's the
public?
understanding.
They're the only group that uses that room.
And other municipalities have used it for meetings, like Mifflin was having construction and they were doing a lot of their meetings over
Okay, so
with us.
why couldn't, whatever we do there, why can't that just be automatically applied here? Why do we have to have a separate
And that's,
policy, a separate everything else
Right.
for this building?
Because it'll be a non-governmental.
We had that way back before we had this, conjunction, for
We used this
Cleveland
building for
Avenue.
years and there was never a problem. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, bingo, we're locked out. Now we can't get back in. And
You're
all,
saying
everything in
somebody
that
would
room over
be
there
here all the
belongs to
time, is
us.
that what the difference is?
no, it's the same.
No.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there's nobody outside of those entities are able to access or do anything
No, what I'm
inside
saying
the
is over
building.
on Cleveland, there's people that work for the township that are in the building while those other people are there. Here,
No, there's no
No.
difference. We have to have a building policy for both sides.
back in the old days.
We don't have one.
There was a band or
So,
something used to
Dave,
come
is
on
it
here
David?
every Sunday or
Yes.
something.
Yeah, okay, more of
So,
this group used to come down
When we
here.
built the new building.
Yep.
The plan was to have it be community, accessible to the community for a birthday party or whatever
Right.
residents
Yeah.
wanted to use it for. It still hasn't happened because liability.
Yeah, we don't have a
So,
liability.
but when you have another government agency using your space, it's not the same thing as if Donna says, I want to have a birthday party for my father.
okay,
Yeah, we have
But like
birthday parties, we have birthday parties in the park.
Well, we don't have a park.
I know, I'm just saying, we have.
But we don't have them in the
Is there
winter time.
liability in the park?
Yes, actually, technically, you're not supposed to.
If you're using this.
But we still need
What about the
to,
liability if the kids fall down and hurt themselves on the playground?
Maybe,
correct.
That's why we have
We
the
don't have
rubber.
that.
That's why we need to get this worked out.
You better
I
get
think
Gecko for them to come back.
So I need to
You're
call
like a
her and
pretty
set up a
high
meeting.
priority.
Yes, it
Need
is.
that
Got all this
You're
stuff,
like
but can't use any of it.
When, well, the slime on the slide that you brought up, kid slides on that and breaks their, you ask them to clean it. If there's like, all it takes is a kid climbing that the wrong way, which they always do.
Yeah, right.
That's a kid
They
though.
fall off the side and break their arm, and
Yeah,
we're
I'll tell you though, that
lawsuit
mulch,
waiting to happen there too.
that rubber
Well,
mulch
I
that's
thought we
over,
had coverage in it.
that rubber mulch that's over there now is wonderful.
Right.
My grandson took a jump and missed where he was supposed to land. He went, no problem, without a
Right,
scratch.
right.
It cushioned him quite well.
We have coverage.
Okay,
It's just adding the extra liability portion to it for the building use policy.
because some of these people, when we had the civic association, they would ask us to have a party over in the shelter, the shelter over here. But now I think you're just doing it automatically,
Most people, I get phone calls or emails
So,
from
yeah, you
people
probably
asking.
do, but I see.
And I figure nobody else is around and I'm the president of Civic Association, so I tell them, yeah, go ahead and use it. I'll put signs up that it's reserved from this time to this time. Of course, nobody's using it now because it's winter, but that's what I've been doing.
So yeah, I need to call Ken.
so they can hang me if they want to. I don't care. I'm 82 years old and
Document it, I'll write it down.
I have a question. So this is my first time actually being over here. I drove over here last week thinking that the meeting was and no one was here. And so as being a Clinton Township resident from the other side, for lack of a better term,
right.
I don't know what else to say.
East
Because
side,
they're
east
so far,
side, east
it's
side.
so far apart.
We're west side, you guys are east side.
It's so far away and so far apart. And I know, like with the movie night, my question to you is, the one that we had over on Cleveland Avenue, was there any record of like how many residents from this side came to the movie night? And you know what I mean? Because I think there seems to need to be, there's like a disconnect. Because
It's always been.
I came over here and it's like, this looks nothing like
No.
Clinton Township. And we don't even know each other, you know, we don't interact. Is there some way that we can work
So
on?
we do.
Back in the old days, we'd have, the west side, we'd have more people when we go to the east side. But when they built the brand new township, it changed the heck of a lot. And then we had, this side, we had a lot of people of certain ages that were seniors that really generated this place. Now we have college kids in here now, and it's really good. We used to have, when we had a civic association, we used to have, Bobby, you say what, 10 or 15 people?
See,
We'd
we've got
have
a lot of,
spaghetti dinners here, we'd have a whole, we had
well, so I've been trying to
4 or
get the
5
civic
festivals.
association going again because you've got a lot of young couples and little kids and things. And I want to get activities because that get them involved.
Get them to come to the movie.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I know a handful of our west side residents attend our east side events pretty regular, but that's just by knowing them.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. And we advertise everything that we do on both sides of town equally, so we have residents from.
But we lost a lot of our seniors, and a lot of the east, we got a group.
And we're about to lose another one.
We have a good sized group on the west side that comes to our markets on the east side. So,
Yeah, I just.
John Schneid's father-in-law.
I don't know.
I know, I don't know. I didn't split everything up, I don't know.
We used to come all the time.
Yeah.
There was only 2 or 3.
I was looking for it earlier.
You know,
No, I didn't
there are
know
all these
why
public
they couldn't
spaces
do
where
it.
people can find out what's going
Oh,
on.
yeah, I can see
I don't think
Creates a lot of
anybody,
work.
for some reason, I don't think that many people look at it. I don't understand why. I ask people ask me about this, that, or the other, and I say, well, this was on next door, I said, I haven't seen it. I don't know. So I just don't know.
Well,
Why is there a copy?
do you want to officially close out the meeting?
Yeah, we used to.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. We appreciate you being here.
Motion to second.